Okay, so if you joined me with this video, you have chosen wisely and gone down the easy route to actually create the Geneva Wheel. It's well worth looking at the other video because it will show you how to get out of the issues that I found going down the route that I did and basically doing it wrong, but resolving those issues and closing the face so we had a paddable object. I hit a number of issues in the previous video because I didn't use the method that I'm going to show you now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a template from this object here, and I'm going to be using the I'm going to use the tool that toggles the toolbar or selects geometry to from construction mode. Now construction mode is an interesting mode because basically anything you create in construction mode, so if I click here, you'll notice these will go blue. And what this allows you to do is actually place geometry on the page that you can use as a reference only. So they won't get padded, they won't get shown in the part design, they're just there to anchor your current geometry onto something so you can manipulate it in such a way as you feel fit to actually create your finished product. So what I'm going to do is I am going to hide all these constraints first. So if we go to our task view and start hiding these. Oops, don't want to hide them. Let's just bring back the filter, and I'm going to hide all datum ones. So click on datums, and we're going to start making all of these disappear so we know what we're doing. So we've got a nice clean page here, and also I'm going to hide the guide as well. So to do that, I think I'm going to have to close this down and right click on here and toggle visibility, which is not there. Why is that not there? So if I go to mode and have a look for visibility, oh, there is visibility. Set to false, and then we can go back into Geneva Wheel. So we just got our Geneva Wheel here, and it's shown again. Right click there, toggle visibility. There we go. So that's gone now. So yeah, for some reason that wasn't. Interesting. Anyway, so I am going to now clean this model up. Still got constraints there, which I want to get rid of. And there we go. So that's gone. It's invisible. So I'm going to clean this model up. So may sound counterintuitive, but I'm going to remove this arc here. And I am going to remove this point here. So now we've got this shape. And so what I really want to do, I should actually rotate this around a bit. So at the moment our constraints have gone. So we need to place constraints back in here, and I want to constrain this to another circle that's going to be in construction mode. So the other thing I'm going to do as well is I'm going to end up removing this point here as well. So first thing I need to do is go into construction mode, which is this item here, and create our circle. And we know that our original circle was 200mm wide. So I click on here, and these constraints still apply, 200mm, and we'll constrain that to the center here. So click on these 2 points and constrain. Notice that moved, so I'm going to undo that. So I'm going to put them closer together, right on top of each other, and highlight and constrain. That's better. Okay, now I'm going to attach each of these points to the construction object, the circle. So clicking on the circle, clicking on the point, and using the fixed point onto object, and do this for the others as well. And the same here. Oops. So this is fixed on the object now, but we'll still have some problems with certain constraints. Although most of them have worked, we can see this arc here is still a problem. So we can control Z that, and that arc is controlled by this point here. Control Z that. So I know that if I fix those two, that to the middle, that should be good. There we go. All good. So just do a few test rotations to see all lines up okay. I'm happy with that. And last but not least, I'm going to place a construction line in here. So click on making sure our construction tool is being selected and all of this is blue. We'll add a line across here and we'll actually constrain it to these 2 points. Now this will be used for our rotational degrees. So we'll rotate the template by X degree to actually figure out whereabouts our template sits. So it would be rotated 90 degrees 3 times to actually create our 4 slots. So now I can actually anchor this to the center if we want. Actually no, I'm not going to do that. Our first object needs to be anchored to the center. So that's all that constrained within our construction object. And if I leave this now, you'll notice that in the part designer, if I set the visibility of this to true, you see there's no construction objects being taken into account in the part designer. So let's jump back into the Geneva Wheel, and what I'm going to do is I am going to set this aside, and I'm going to come out of construct mode, and I'm going to create the 200mm wheel again in the center here. Create a wheel, I'm going to anchor it into the XYZ origin, or the axis of our sketch, and I'm going to set the diameter 200mm. So that's all good. So we've got that all set. Holding down Shift, I can move this page about. So let's center that bit and zoom out. So with our template object, I'm going to clone it. So if I go click on our template, actually I'm going to have to select all of this template object. So zoom out, and I'm going to use a area selection there. So that's all selected. I'm going to go Tools, Sketch and Tools, and I'm going to go Copy, and I'm going to come in and copy it close to my circle. And if I zoom in slightly, just position this on page, I am now going to restrict centers, so I'm going to bring them in close and put a constraint on those two. So constraining those, and I am going to also place a horizontal constraint, so that sits nicely. Ooh, do that. So a bit of an issue there. So let's actually put this horizontal there and put a horizontal constraint on that point there. So that's all constrained nicely now. Now we can't see our blue line, but it's still there. It's actually sitting underneath this circle here. So what I need to do is start removing geometry from in here, so I can remove this part here and this part here. So wherever there's a gap, I remove. So if we hit our trim an edge tool here, we should be able to easily remove this geometry. See, we've removed it and the blue line is showing through, which is good. And the same. Yeah, no, we don't want to remove that one. I said remove that one, but we don't actually want to remove it. We want to leave that one there and remove this one. So there we have, that's all nicely removed now. So the next thing to do is to actually have a look at these points and just check these points are connected. So they all look, if I pull them about, I can't actually pull these about, which is good. Shows they are connected to the actual the trim is actually connecting them to the object. Zoom in down here, see what we have. Yep, so it's all looking good. In my the video where I took a long route, I actually broke these edges and I showed a way of actually getting these back and actually how to test if these edges were broken. So that's the first one done. Let's grab another copy of this object. Go to Sketch, Sketch Tools, and copy, and move it close to the center again, and zoom in. And we're starting to get a bit cluttered with these constraints. So let's come down here and have a look at our datum constraints and start hiding them again. So we've got a few more in here to hide. Oops. And two down the bottom. There we go, so those are all hidden now. So I've got our new template in and I'm just going to rotate it around into a position where I can manipulate it. So I'm looking at because this is 4, I'm looking at a 90-degree angle, so I can either do one of two things. I can put a horizontal constraint on there after I've actually constrained the 2 center points. Actually, I've got to remove this bit here. I need to remove because otherwise I'm going to have 2 or 3 on top of each other. So let's get rid of that. So now I've got this which isn't constrained properly. So if I move this off, click those 2 and constrain them. That hasn't worked. Let's try that again. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that circle in there just for now. I can deal with that circle later. So clicking on these 2 constraints points, I can constrain those together, and I'm going to set a 90-degree angle between these 2 here. So see, I've got 3 selected there, so that's going to fail. Set those 2, angle 90 degrees. So that's in there. So now we can actually start filleting again. Our fillet tool. And that's all nicely filleted. And basically it's repeat the process. So find our template, select all the template, go to Sketch, Sketcher Tools, and copy it towards close to the center of the object, and then we start manipulating it into place. So I want this rotated quite a bit, so let's rotate this around. It's always worth getting the object into a closest position that you want, because when you start to use the constraints, sometimes odd things happen and your geometry starts to skew. So it's better just to get them as close to possible with where you want them to be, and then restrict them down like so. And we're going to put a 90-degree rotation on there as well. And using the fillet tool, again, remove. Ooh, I chose the wrong fillet tool. Let's do that edge first. There we go, that's removed. Oh, there we go. And remove there. And see, I clicked it once and all the constraints changed. So that's because, let's undo that a couple of times. Something's happened. Something weird has happened. So I've rotated this around, so I should be able to remove that bit there, which is correct. That's better. And now remove this point here. Now something strange. No, it's all okay. It's because I was hovered over this line. So that's all okay now. So that's good. So our last one to do. No point in cloning this because I'm going to be using it. So let's get this in position. So just manipulating it into the right orientation, near enough the right orientation, and placing it close to the center. And we'll zoom in if I can. What's that? It's down a bit, and constrain these two together. Straighten the centers, and then put in a 90-degree angle between those two construction lines there. So these two here, and setting this to 90 degrees. And then we need to, everything's turned green. That's interesting. We need to now fillet these. So go to fillet there, and fillet there. So that looks all good. So we should now have, if I close this down, sorry, it's come out Sketcher. So there's our nicely created Geneva Wheel, or Maltese Cross, whatever you want to call it. And I'm in part design at the moment, so I'm going to pad. And there we go, no pad problems whatsoever. Padded nicely, unlike the other video. And that's the easy way of creating the actual Geneva Wheel. As I said before, it's worth going through the other video to see problems I found without using the construction tools. And yeah, I think that you'll find this very useful and far more quicker. You'll see the length of the video, even though I'm babbling at the moment, you'll see the length of the video of how much longer it took. Okay, so I'm going to carry on with this with the pinwheel in another video, but please look at both of them. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.